Okay, let's be honest. We've seen it all, right? Theories about Emu, the Void Century, Zoro's Eye. But what if I told you the biggest clue of all isn't in a poneglyph, but in the very way the story is told? What if One Piece isn't just an adventure, but literally a story, and that the true nature of Luffy's power proves it? This might be the best theory you'll ever see, I think. It doesn't try to predict the story's future, but rather redefine our entire past with it. It's a theory that explains why we feel the way we do while watching and why Luffy's adventure feels so timeless. So grab your favorite beverage and settle in, because we're about to break the fourth wall. We've spent years debating the whats and whys of One Piece, but we rarely stop to consider the how. How did this story reach us? The narration at the beginning of each episode, the way the arcs are structured like epic tales, everything has a once upon a time feel. And then we have the most important power of all, the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika. The Gorosei don't describe it as a weapon or a strength, they describe it as the most ridiculous power in the world. Why ridiculous? Because it defies logic. Luffy can stretch, inflate, become a giant, run in the air, and his eyes pop out like in a cartoon. His power obeys not the laws of physics, but the laws of imagination. He is, literally, a cartoon character, in a world that, until then, tried to maintain a modicum of internal consistency. And Dr. Vegapunk gave us the key. He said that devil fruits are the manifestation of humanity's dreams and desires. But what if it's more literal than that? What if they are the dreams of a single person? The narrator. Luffy's awakening didn't just make him stronger, he made the world around him more malleable, more like a story. He can turn the ground into rubber, grasp lightning. This isn't a simple combat skill, it's the ability of an author bending the rules of his own universe. The story of One Piece isn't happening, it already happened, and someone is telling it to us. The theory is this: One Piece is a story within a story. The adventure of Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates is an epic tale from the past, being narrated or read by someone in the future. And who could this narrator be? The answer may lie in the series' most important song, Binks no Sake. The song speaks of the joy, sadness, and inevitability of a pirate's journey. It's the soundtrack to the story itself. What if Binks isn't just the author of the song, but the author of the book? Imagine a historian, an adventurer, or even a distant descendant of one of the Straw Hat Pirates many years in the future, telling the legend of the last Pirate King. This narrator, whom we'll call Binks, is retelling a story he heard or read, a story so fantastical it borders on the unbelievable. The devil fruits are actually the fruits of imagination in the story. Each fruit is a hyperbole, a way of describing the character's incredible abilities in a memorable way. Ace didn't control fire, he was hot as fire. Aokiji wasn't made of ice, he was cold as ice. But Luffy's fruit, the Nika, is the most special of all, because the narrator describes it as the power of pure imagination. Luffy was so free, so creative, and so unpredictable that the only way to describe his power in the story was to say he could do anything his imagination allowed. He became literally the embodiment of narrative freedom. The very narration that opens the episodes, which says wealth, fame, power, is not an omniscient speaker. It's our narrator, Binks, beginning his tale the same way every time, like a bard beginning an epic song. This explains why the story has such well-defined arcs and clear moral lessons. It's because it was structured to be a legend, a story to inspire. If the idea that we're reading a book with a narrator from the future just redefined everything for you, then help this story reach more people. Leave a like to show you get the idea. And if you want to find out how this story ends with us, subscribe to One Piece Secrets. I don't think you'll regret it. This theory completely changes the meaning of Laugh Tale and One Piece. Why did Roger laugh? The popular theory says he found Joy Boy's story, but let's go a step further. What if he found not just the story, but proof that he himself was a character in a story? The One Piece in Laugh Tale could be the original book or the final poneglyph that reveals the nature of the narrative. Roger, a man who lived the freest and most real life possible, discovers at the end of his journey that he is a legend, a pawn in an epic tale written by Joy Boy or someone else. He's not laughing at Joy Boy's tragedy, he's laughing at the cosmic irony of his own existence. The life he thought he was forging with his own hands was, in a way, already written. It's the punchline. His life is, quite literally, a funny tale. And that's why he says he wished he had been born in the same era as Joy Boy. He wished he had met the original author. He didn't find a treasure to spend, but a script that described the past and perhaps even predicted the future. He realized his journey wasn't just an adventure, but the fulfillment of a role in a much larger narrative. His laugh is that of someone who finally understands the joke of the universe. It's the final acceptance of his place in legend. And this also explains why Rayleigh doesn't tell the Straw Hats the ending. It's not to spoil the adventure, it's because the story needs to be lived to be real. You can't just skip to the last page. So, who is the narrator? Who is Banks? The theory has some fantastic candidates. It could be Brooke, the last living Straw Hat, retelling his captain's story centuries later, explaining why music is so important to him. It could be a descendant of Usopp, a natural storyteller, transforming his ancestors' exaggerated adventures into the greatest legend of all. Or, and this is my personal guess, it could be a character we haven't met yet, someone in a peaceful future reading about the chaotic era of pirates that led to the dawn of the world. Luffy's ridiculous power is the definitive proof that we're in a narrative. He's the point at which the story becomes so fantastical that the narrator practically winks at the reader and says, yes, this is a tale, and in this tale, freedom and imagination can defeat any tyranny. Luffy's final fight against Imu won't just be a physical battle, it will be a battle of narratives. The rigid, oppressive, and censored narrative of the world government versus Luffy's chaotic, free, and imaginative narrative. Luffy's victory will not just be the victory of one man, but the victory of the spirit of storytelling itself. Oda himself inserts himself into the story through Luffy's power. Luffy's freedom to fight like a cartoon is the author's freedom to draw whatever he wants, breaking the barriers of logic in the name of joy and creativity. It's the ultimate message that imagination is the most powerful force in the universe. So, perhaps this is the best theory. Because it doesn't change a single detail, it changes everything. One Piece isn't just a story about dreams, it's literally a dream being told. Devil fruits are the fruits of the imagination. Luffy's power is the embodiment of narrative freedom. And One Piece in Laugh Tale is the revelation that the greatest adventure of all is, and always has been, a legend. This doesn't make the journey any less real. On the contrary, it makes it eternal. Because the best stories never end. They are told again and again, inspiring new generations. And we, the fans, are not just spectators. We're the listeners, gathered around a campfire, listening to Banks's tale of the man who became the Pirate King. And that's, well, I think that's pretty cool. The beauty of this theory is that it doesn't change a single detail. It elevates it. Their struggles and sacrifices become the ink with which the world's greatest story was written. And the fact that we're here, 25 years later, still debating and moved in proves that the story served its purpose. But what about you? Who do you think is telling the story? Leave your guesses in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on One Piece Secrets.